because,
My
yes, yes. See, yeah.
I mean, my toilet upstairs last week, Roman came last weekend and see the competition in Auburn, and I was upstairs cleaning because I don't really go upstairs a lot, and the toilet took a hole, and what's it called? The little seal, it was completely like just
Gone.
disintegrated. It was like 8:30. He goes to bed, he gets everything, comes back.
Gets it right.
Oh my God. You're so awesome. You got a big skinny I wanted a new TV or a TV in my engine because I cook a lot. I just wanted a TV. Yeah. Next night, there was a TV.
So it's 7.
Mostly.
Right.
But I picked him up last night and he's starting to drive.
Right.
And so we went to Peter's Pond, and he drove. He's picked out February 28th. That's when he wants to go get his permit. He doesn't have a permit yet,
Right.
so we have to really kind of
Go to places where, yeah.
But no, he's really excited about that. He's ordering his class ring. He actually wants one. But I see him.
Right.
We're going to drive tomorrow.
Right. Getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell him all the time.
Right.
Touch him.
Right. Yep.
Roman got accepted to the University of Alabama.
No, he's transferring. Yeah, well, that's what I've got to figure out. It's May 9th, so figure out about that travel thing.
Yeah. Because he's going to do environmental science at the university because they don't have that under. I said, college go back to graduate school.
Yeah.
You don't know. You don't know.
Right.
You just have to figure it out. Change your situation. You're young, you have no connection.
No, please. Colonies, conservation.
Right.
Everything in the legislature has success.
And it'll be super helpful.
I don't say this as a criticism, but it seems like there's not a big focus this year. But there's still like a lot of skipping of legislation and a lot of it's just
It'll be my mother.
Yep.
the immigration bill. So it's just a lot of separate issues. Like a time, just trying to cover as much as I can. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
You guys got anything good on this one?
No. Engineering side.
Okay. Cool. Huh? I could do that.
Well, too bad. I mean, that's their own. do, so they go in alphabetical order, so we are paying. Forestry has 3.
Good morning and welcome to February 2025 contract review. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Senator Albritton, Senator Beasley, Senator Butler, Senator Elliott,
Here.
Representative England, Representative Garrett, Senator Orr, Representative Pringle, Representative Reynolds, Senator Roberts,
Here.
Representative Witt.
Okay, we have a quorum. As we start, let me just say a prayer and ask the Lord's blessing upon our time. Father, we commit this time to you and ask that we would serve our state well. And we thank you for this privilege to gather this morning. And we commit this time to you in Christ's name. Amen. All right, we had 39 submissions. One of them was pulled by the agency, so we have 38 total. We'll start on page 1. ADECA. Please remember to state your name when you come up.
Well, good morning, Chairman Roberts and members of the committee. I'm Meg Fiedler, General Counsel for ADECA. We have 3 amendments and 1 new contract before the committee today. On page 1, this is an amendment with CTC. CTC provides technical expertise and assistance for our broadband programs. This amendment adds terms for several of the programs and adds funds for the state program and 3 of the federal programs.
Okay. Any questions?
Quick question, Mr. Chairman. Does this relate to the BEAD program at all?
Yes, that's
okay.
Most of the funds that were added for the BEAD program.
So how's the BEAD program?
Well, I would defer, if you don't mind, to the division chief, Maury Neighbors, and let her.
Yeah, so my question there is, we've got a new administration in Washington. Are we moving forward with BEAD? Is it still on hold? Do we need to move forward with this contract if BEAD? That's kind of my question.
Yes.
Or does DOGE have anything?
We'll be moving forward with BEAD, so the pause should not affect the BEAD program.
Okay, dokie.
You wanted more updates?
We hope not.
No, I mean, if y'all say it's pressing on, okie dokie.
All right.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Page 2.
This is an amendment as well, and this is an amendment with our contract with Horn, and this is for the CDBG-DR program, and this addresses the hurricanes, Sally and Zeta, and this was just an amendment to add terms and conditions, including the state term, and to add funds just for the housing program. So there's no funds going to the contractor. It's just to put funds into the housing program for direct construction cost.
And this was an additional federal appropriation that allowed us to draw.
We amended our action plan, and so there's an additional $11 million, and therefore that will go into direct construction into the housing program. Yes,
All
sir.
right. Any questions? Thank you. Page 3.
This is also an amendment with our disaster recovery program, but this is for the tornadoes in Dallas and Autauga County. The original contract was for administration, the funds for administration, and this now puts funds into the housing program. We're going to begin the housing program in Dallas and Autauga County. And it also added terms, like I said, for the state terms, and then the updates to 2 CFR Part 200.
Sorry, Representative Pringle isn't here. We could talk about septic tanks to go with these new houses. So, okay. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Top page 4.
And our last one is a contract with Direct Communications, and this is for our broadband program for outreach and education. And this is a federal requirement that we have. We do outreach and education for this program.
And
This was RFP'd, yes, sir.
we solicited bids from 352 and had 6 respondents.
Yes.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
Aaliyah.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Cohn. I'm an attorney with Aaliyah. This morning we have one contract for your consideration. This is a one-year renewal with Employee Assistance Services for A-Post required psychological evaluations of Aaliyah's sworn officers.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Auctioneer Board.
My name is Randy Grissett. I'm the consumer board member for the State Board of Auctioneers. This is just a renewal contract that went through the RFP process last year with Smith Warren Management Services. We did reduce our contract 14% for those services, and the board does not have any additional employees.
Last year was 111,000. This year, 96, I believe.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
What's your annual license revenue?
You answer that.
May I answer that question? The annual license revenue is somewhere around $115,000 to $120,000 a year.
And you're spending 96 of that on administrative services.
Yes, total revenue is more than that.
That's not what I asked. License revenue.
Total revenue is around $140,000 to $150,000 a year.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'll follow up because we wanted to go down that road. What's the other revenue source?
We have examination fees, we have application fees, we have license fees. Fines are not a substantial amount of any of this revenue. And we also have free continuing education opportunities that we provide. But that's all of the fees that we collect, sir.
Okay. That's a very high percentage of your license revenue to be spending on administrative services.
And they spend a lot of time on this review.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. That's a very high percentage of your license revenue to be spending on administrative services. And we've discussed this with a lot of other boards. That's enough. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Conservation.
Good morning, Chairman Roberts, Senator Elliott. Juliana Dean for the Department of Conservation. We just have one contract today. It's an amendment to our existing contract with TTL for engineering and environmental services.
Any questions? Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Corrections.
Good morning. I'm Mandy Spears with the Alabama Department of Corrections. We have one contract today. It is a no-cost 2-year time extension for GMC.
Mandy, this was RFQ'd September 22, contracted 12/22. Next
Yes, sir.
open bid time.
It was a 2-year with 3 1-year renewals.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Counseling, pulled. Bottom page 6 was pulled.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
the counseling board contract with Smith Warren was pulled?
It was, sir.
Huh. Okay, thank you.
Education.
Good morning, Tina Hammonds for the State Department of Education. We have 7 contracts today, 1 legal. Our first one is going to be with the June Shelton School and Evaluation Center. This was RFP'd. We submitted to 97 entities, and 2 responded, and we contracted with both of them. The reason that we're needing to make this amendment at this time is that one of the 2 companies hasn't been able to get ready to start taking in cohorts to train as quickly as we needed. So we're adding money to the other to be able to add a cohort that's ready to go, and then we'll be able to just do continuous training as soon as the other set gets up and going as well.
Okay, are we taking away from the one that couldn't perform?
I did ask about that, and apparently since it's continuing training, we will be able to do a second level of training on the back end with a cohort there, and then when we when we re-up the contract, then we'll see where we are for moving forward. So at this time, we're not going to reduce that.
Okay, any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, our next one is with Tuskegee University. This is 100% federal funds. It is a sole source. This is one of our federal grants. And so this was applied for with the applicant. Tuskegee University is currently the sole trainer for the ECS course. And as principal investigator for the EIR research, this is who was placed into the grant to apply for the grant. And then when we received the grant, this is how we will be able to program manage those federal funds that we received. It was built into the pitch to be able to receive the grant.
And what ECS, EIR?
Exploring Computer Science course. It's a high school course selected for inclusion in designing computer science pathways for schools, and it's for our rural communities for research. And EIR is the Education, Innovation, and Research Grant by the United States Department of Education.
Okay. And it's sole source because it was put in that way.
Yes, sir. I've talked with our groups about rubrics and ways to select different types of people to apply for the grants. Oftentimes, these grants originate because of the researchers who are able to provide the process or the product that's coming forward or the particular need. In this situation, this has been developed with Tuskegee University, and it's the only program of its kind. So in order to retain these funds, this is who we needed to apply with.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Top of page 8.
Okay, so we're going to have two with Myers and Stauffer. This is going to be the first one. It was RFP'd. It's 100% federal funds. The contractor would conduct federally mandated compliance reviews for the summer food service program, and that'll be in compliance with federal regulations. So this is for summer feeding. We solicited 102 entities, and I believe we had 3 to respond on this one and 2 to respond on the other.
Yeah. We had all kind of submission issues on this one. Just, y'all do more. We don't need to have this. Dollar figures are wrong.
Okay. I'm not sure that I even knew that, but I will definitely look into that. Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right. Any questions? Bottom of page 8.
Okay, that'll be the Kathleen Haney Consulting. This is also 100% federal funds. This is to perform the scope of work required to lead and direct a randomized, controlled, quasi-experimental design efficacy study for the Pathways for Alabama Computer Science Education, Innovation, Research Grant Proposal. So it's the same type of grant proposal. This is for appropriate observation and teacher methods, and we applied for the grant using Kathleen Haney Consulting as the target to be able to manage the program that would be funded if we received the grant.
So that's sole source.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Tina. I'm sorry. I try. But Kathleen is the only one that can direct a randomized, controlled, quasi-experimental design efficacy study.
Well, it is my understanding.
I'm sure Kathleen's great.
Yes, sir. That this group is currently leading the research and evaluation for the Education, Innovation, and Research Pathways group for the Alabama Computer Science Initiative, and has longstanding evaluating and researching experience, but no other independent research evaluator is embedded into the PACS program. And I'm not sure if the Pathways for Alabama Computer Science program, or possesses this specific background knowledge and skills in order to receive the grant. So the grant was crafted with this expertise to be able to receive the grant. So like I said, we have talked about ways to maybe create rubric to evaluate possibles to apply for grants with, but oftentimes these originate actually with the programs themselves. They come to us with the opportunity to apply for a grant because of their expertise, and then if they apply for the grant and receive it, then we contract with them for the funding.
And we get this study back.
Yes, sir. We
we
use all of this in the actual development of our computer science programs and the rural programs, and then watching the teachers and the things that we do to develop those programs. But when they come to us, I believe a lot of this originates with the programs themselves, who say the funding is there that could help this work occur. And then if the work is going to be moderated through our office, the funds would come through us, but it necessitates a contract. And so
So, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
So Kathleen designs the grant program, right? And then Kathleen, in the grant program, is the only one that possesses the knowledge, skill, abilities, whatever else to perform the work. And then Kathleen brings this grant opportunity to you and says, hey, look, there's a grant opportunity here. By the way, I'm the only one that possesses any of the knowledge, skill, abilities to actually perform the grant that I have designed and then brought to you. Is that what I understand?
Oftentimes, work develops into persons who become absolute experts in the field, and they are the ones who possess that knowledge, and they do come to us with funding opportunities. Also, in other situations, we have funding opportunities, and there may only be one, such as in the Tuskegee grant, who could fulfill it due to our statutory requirements.
Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes things are exactly as they seem. Good for Kathleen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, top of page 9.
This is the Center for Assessment. This is a new RFP. We solicited 12, one responded. This is going to be 50% state, 50% federal funds. The Center for Assessment will support the department by preparing the materials, agendas, and items for meetings, and then attending the in-person technical advisory committee meetings. And so they will prepare meeting summaries and recommendations and serve as a consultant for us. And this is an RFP contract.
Do you want to elaborate on that, Senator Elliott? No. Okay. Encouraged with the numbers, the increases that we saw. Dr. Mackey presented yesterday, the governor mentioned in her speech. I've had several constituents reach out and question that large of an improvement. How do you think that's possible?
You're saying the NAEP results? There has been a concerted effort across this state through implementation of legislation, through best practices, and through the grassroots, on-the-ground efforts of our teachers that are going into the field. And we have changed some of the teaching methods. We have streamlined some of the teaching methods. We have required best teaching methods in ways that haven't been done before. And I think the results are there because of that. We've done tremendously well post-COVID compared to other states. Yeah. And I wasn't here for that, but in learning about the things that were done to make sure that we were connected nationally, looking at best practices to get kids to where they can read quicker and better and retain that forever, getting kids to where they are on the best path to understand algebra, these have become core tenets of the way that we request that our teachers are not only trained to teach, but then employed to teach when they get to the classroom. And we hope and believe that the results are showing that the choices that have been made have been good ones. And so...
well, it's terribly encouraging. So hat tip to you guys on what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, bottom page 9.
So that's going to be the second Myers and Stauffer contract. This will be for the adult feeding program. Again, the solicitation was to 102 entities. 2 responded. Myers and Stauffer will conduct federally mandated compliance and financial reviews for the child and adult care food program.
We're good. You got a question? All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Environmental management.
Morning, Mr. Chairman.
Morning.
I'm Russell Kelly with Environmental Management. This contract before you've seen this before. It was a different vendor. Well, I think we awarded it in July, and when we had our initial setup meeting, they were unable to meet the RFP like they told us they could. They used a different software, completely different. We're a Microsoft outfit looking for Microsoft IS, and they were going to use Tomcat, so we terminated that contract, moved to the second vendor who is fully capable of providing this service for us.
Okay. We had a lot of submission issues here, and y'all do enough work.
Yes, sir. I apologize for that. Didn't know.
You didn't do it?
No, sir.
Would you please make sure this doesn't happen again?
Yes, sir.
In a little bit, we're going to hold some stuff because of the same reason, so just warned.
Yeah. Do we know what they were?
Incorrect competitive bid law language in the contract.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll take care of that.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Forestry Commission.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Scott Rouse of the Forestry Commission. I have with me Mr. Hank Birch, who's our Assets Coordinator. We have 3 contracts on your agenda today, 2 renewals and 1 new contract. The renewals are CC in Litchfield and Thompson Engineering. One of those, I think, a CC is just in time extension. We're adding $200,000 to Thompson. Both of these contracts stem from the bond issue a few years ago for state parks that we got the premium on, so we're continuing with those projects. If you've got any questions at all about that or the program, here, Mr. Birch would be glad to field those.
Painting on the side of your building looks good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember we discussed that a couple of years ago.
We did. I appreciate you approving our artist
It
contract.
enhances Montgomery. All right, any questions about bottom page 10? Yeah. Go.
So why does the Forestry Commission need a medical director? I see, the EMS, but why we need to pay somebody? It's only $34,000, but why do we need to do that?
That's a great question.
Of course it is.
It is. I'm glad you asked that question.
Don't you know when we get elected, we're the smartest people? And
absolutely.
I say that very facetiously. A little humor and levity in the morning.
Absolutely, absolutely. What we're doing here, in the last couple of years, we've had a refocusing on our safety programs for our employees, and as you know, probably about 3/4 of our workforce are field employees, and in that case, that means usually in the middle of the woods. We have tried to enhance our first aid training, and this isn't just normal first aid. We do CPR and all of that, but a lot of this is, I liken it to when I was a scout leader years ago. We called this wilderness first aid. It's things you need to know if you are badly injured in a remote area, and so we're trying to ramp up that program. Also, we've looked at the personnel we already have, and we've learned that we have several people already employed by us who have EMS credentials. Most of those are EMT trained. We have one that's a full paramedic. We're trying to integrate those skills into our workforce so that we have trained medical personnel all around the state that can be deployed on major things we're working on, prescribed burns, whatever we're doing. Having a medical director, physician, is key to that because you have to have a physician to serve as a medical director to oversee your credentialed EMS personnel. So that is a big part of what Dr. Eversole will be doing for us. The other part of that is he's going to be plugged into that first aid and training program and try to enhance what we're teaching our employees through that
Do you
training.
see this as an ongoing every year, year in, year out? We're doing this, or do we train everybody? We got to retrain them next year, and what? How long?
I honestly don't know. This is new for us. We want to see how this goes. Certainly, getting the training out there is key. But right now, I don't know how it's going to go. This is kind of a trial for us.
For everybody in the audience, we're talking about the contract on the bottom of page 11 on this. So he comes from Niceville. Is he an Alabama licensed physician?
He is, and he's an Alabama native. I think, if memory serves, he's practicing at Eglin Air Force Base now, but he has connections to Alabama.
And it's $34,000 for the 2 years?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions on the bottom of 11? I've got questions for the top of 11.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine, sir. All right, top of 11, Thompson Engineering. What projects are this? I know you had requested proposals from 48. You got 9 responses. What particular projects are this, please, sir?
Okay, I'm going to let Mr. Birch handle that.
Thompson is focusing on infrastructure projects, predominantly bridge projects, replacements in 3 of our state forests. We have awarded a bid at Little River, and we're looking at 3 bridge replacements at Geneva State Forest and a large bridge replacement at Weagufka, Flag Mountain. A lot of these were old timber bridges on forestry roads, but we're trying to get substantial improvements to those sites.
So back to wooden bridges or more concrete structures?
It's a little bit of everything. We've got a wooden substructure at Little River. We've got concrete going in at Flag Mountain, and at Geneva, they're focusing on culverted, low water type crossings. These are single lane dirt roads through the state forest.
Okay. Any other questions for Forestry Commission? All right, top of page 12, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Historic Commission.
Good morning. My name is Chad Stinson. I'm with the Historical Commission. Before I get into the contracts, I would like to offer a sincere apology for missing last meeting. I had an unforeseen circumstance come up, and we just dropped the ball there. So that falls on me, and a
Life
sincere
happens,
apology.
sir.
Yes, sir. So
Every
I have
day.
2 amendments for you and 3 contracts. The first amendment is with CC in Litchfield. It's a multi-site for architectural engineering across AHC sites with an increase in time and an increase in money.
And I assume we'll RFQ this in 27?
Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions? All right, bottom page 12.
My next is another amendment with KPS, same circumstance. We will increase the time and increase the money as well there.
RFQ again?
In 27.
27. All right, questions? All right, top page 13.
Yes, sir. This is a contract with Collier's Engineering. We RFP'd this on 6/28/24. We solicited 192 vendors and received 3 responses. This contract will be to help hold the historic integrity of several easements that we have next to these historic properties. If you follow any of the Clotilda projects and stuff, there's a lot of land around it that we would like to keep in good standing.
And we're going to hold this. We had some submission issues, W-9s, and the next one initially rejected. The end dates on the contract didn't match what the contract was. We just really need to get this correct, and we can talk later about that. Any other questions on page 13? Okay, top of 14.
Our last contract is with the Cahaba Foundation. It is a sole source. This will mimic our Friends of the Fort event that we have. So this group is obviously already in the community, can engage in the community in ways that others cannot. So we reached out to have a sole source, and this contract is for $50,000 for the event.
I get that. I still have a big why on the sole source for this.
So, with this is going to celebrate the return of the 200th anniversary of the Lafayette's return visit to the Cahaba. This group is extremely embedded in the community. They have a lot of first-class knowledge. They're already in there on a day-to-day basis, and so the sole source there. They're the best for the job. I can defer to L. Cunningham with more questions.
Anybody have any other questions about that?
Mr. Chairman, I'm kind of familiar with the Lafayette visit and then the stops along the way. It dovetails with the 250th, as the gentleman said. So that foundation at Old Cahaba they're kind of the only game in town when it comes to that, doing events there.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Medicaid, bottom of 14.
Good morning, members. My name is Sam White. I'm with the Alabama Medicaid Agency. Before you today, we have 2 contracts. The first one is with Ernst & Young, and it is a renewal.
Any questions? All right. 15.
This one is with Myers & Stauffer. It was a RFP. We received 4 bids, and it's related to the hospital model audits that are required by law and a few other actuary services.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mental health.
Brian Penn, Mental Health. We have 1 contract. It's an amendment with Guidehouse. This is for the Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinic program, and the reason we ask for an increase is there's been an increase in demand for these services from our third-party providers beyond that which was originally in the contract as far as time for the contractor to work on. So we need to increase funding to cover the increase in demand.
All right, and this will be RFP'd in 26?
Yes, sir. I think it's due to end, actually, at the end of 26. So if we have to do, we'll have to do another RFP.
Okay. Any questions? Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Optometry Board.
Good morning, I'm Wallace Mills. I'm non-litigation contract counsel for the Board of Optometry. This is simply a renewal of the Executive Director's contract, Dr. Fred Wallace.
Any questions?
I have one, and bear with me, but what's your total license revenue?
About $150,000.
Okay. There's a theme here, but that's what I needed to know. Thank you, sir. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Although I will say, and the Executive Director would probably want me to say this, that he has done this as a part-time job for about 20 years. Because of the governor's executive orders, he's having to spend a great deal more time on this. He runs an optometry practice, and we anticipate next year that this may have to change. That there may be he may have to hire an employee.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Top of 17, Interior Design Board.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm the board chair, Ann Nyman, and our contract is just an extension for 1 year for our current executive director.
Any questions?
I do, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman. Same question. Do you know what your total license revenue is?
You know, I'm not really sure, but I know it cannot support a $100,000 a year executive director.
You're making my point for me.
We'd have to about quadruple our fees.
Yeah.
So this job, Bryant does it part-time. He's been doing it for quite a while, and there's a lot of volunteer hours in there.
For those listening at home, this is a $25,000 contract.
Right, right.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Security Regulatory Board, bottom of 17 was pulled, and that is a $450,000 contract.
I'm really sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'm really sorry that that was pulled because you said that was a $450,000 contract for administrative services, and the last one was how much? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. All right, Senate Pro Tem.
Good morning, Chairman and Senators. Melissa Tennell with the Senate Pro Tem's office. I got a contract before you for Asbel Communications. As you know, we've had transition in our offices. With that, an opportunity for our communications director. So he has left, and this is to help out with our new Pro Tem.
Okay, any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank y'all.
Youth Services.
Good morning. I'm Dudley Perry from Alabama Department of Youth Services. We have one contract. This is a contract with the psychiatrist for evaluation services.
Dudley, we had the governor's additional questions weren't done. Dollar figures on cover sheet didn't match the other stuff. I know you didn't do that either. I'm just asking whoever's doing your submissions, just get it right.
Yes. Frankly, I wasn't aware of that.
Yes, sir.
I knew there was another problem that Jason helped us with, and I appreciate that.
He does a great job, doesn't he?
Yes.
All right, any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to legal contracts. AG's office. Any questions on the first one? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Banking Department.
Hey, good morning, Elizabeth Bressler with the Banking Department. We have one contract for our outside counsel, Hamp Bowles. He's worked with us for many years and gives us great advice when we have very difficult banking issues.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Education.
Tina Hammonds for the Department of Education. We have one amendment with our contract with the Brewman Group for added money.
Any questions on this? Thank you, ma'am. Human Resources? Any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Office of District Attorney?
And Clay Crenshaw again for the AG's office. This is a contract with legal counsel to represent Stephen Billy, the DA down in Escambia County. He's been sued personally in a federal district court case.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Public Accountancy Board?
Good morning.
Last but not least.
Yes, sir. I'm Nicole Robinson, Chief of Staff for the Board of Accountancy. This is just a contract for Jason Zarzar with Zarzar and Swartz to collect unpaid administrative funds.
This is a contingency contract. That's the percentage. Any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we're adjourned. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you next month.
All right, how are you doing?
Morning, sir.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes, sir. Thanks for gracing us.
I'm glad. Sorry for my talk information. I'm glad. Hey, how are you?
It does.
Based on the nurse, I tried to say, now y'all